The winter storms on Kepler 92b did not care who had once been a warrior, who had once been a noble, or who had once commanded fleets. The wind howled like 1,000 knives, clawing at metal walls and rattling every hinge until even the proud huddled for warmth. For the displaced widows of the war, survival meant more than dignity. It meant scavenging, hiding, stealing. She had once been Rishalte, wife of Captain Droken, keeper of her people's hearthsong. Her mate had died 2 years ago, cut down when human fleets clashed with her kind in the last great battle. Since then, the songs had gone silent. Her tribe scattered. She was no longer a singer, no longer a wife. Just a body, ribs pressing against scaled skin, surviving on scraps. Tonight, hunger was unbearable. She slipped through the woods under sleet, talons shaking from cold. A strange structure stood ahead, wooden walls instead of steel, smoke curling from a chimney. Alien but warm. She crept to the back, every instinct screaming to flee. But the smell was overwhelming. Meat, roasted roots, something soft and yeasty she could not name. Her hands pushed against the door. It creaked open. The kitchen glowed golden. A loaf of bread sat cooling, steam rising. She lunged, tearing a piece with her claws and shoving it into her mouth. Floorboards creaked. She spun around, baring her teeth. A human stood in the doorway. He was tall, broad-shouldered, a scar tracing temple to jaw. Simple wool and canvas clothes. No weapon, though she was sure he could reach one quickly. His eyes locked on hers. Silence stretched. I take only what I need, she rasped, throat raw. Do not fight me. The man tilted his head. His expression softened instead of hardening. You're starving, he said. His voice carried no accusation, only fact. She froze. On her world, weakness was mocked, exploited. Mercy was rare, usually a trap. But this human turned his back, something no warrior would ever do to a threat, and stepped to the stove. Her instincts screamed trap. Yet her body trembled, too weak to run. He took 2 bowls, ladled stew, and set one across the table. Then he sat at the other end and began to eat, calmly, as if expecting her to do the same. She eyed the food suspiciously. Poison? Drugged? But the smell filled her senses. She had not eaten properly in days. With shaking hands, she sat. Her claws rattled against the spoon, so she lifted the bowl directly to her lips. Heat nearly burned her mouth, but the taste, rich, salty, filling, was too much. She devoured it, ignoring shame. When she set the bowl down, tears streaked her face. The human leaned back, regarding her quietly. Then he refilled her bowl. For the first time since her mate's death, her belly was warm. For the first time since the war, someone had seen her not as an enemy, not as a scavenger, not as an alien, just as someone who needed a meal. The quiet between them. When her hunger slowed, she finally found words. Why? Because you're cold. Hungry. And because I had enough for 2. She hissed softly in disbelief. You do not know me. My people fought yours. I have blood on my hands. Then you're not the only one, he said evenly, scar catching the light. War ended. People still need to eat. The simplicity of it stunned her. I should not have come, she whispered. I meant to steal and vanish. You shame me. He shook his head. Survival's not shameful. Letting someone starve when you can help. That's shameful. The widow's song. She returned in the following days. At first in secret, only when hunger clawed too sharply. Yet the man always left the door unlocked, as if expecting her. Sometimes bread sat cooling, sometimes stew by the fire. One evening he asked, What's your name? She hesitated. Her name felt heavy with memories. But withholding it felt dishonorable now. Rishalte. I'm Daniel, he said. The syllables felt strange in her mouth, but she repeated them, committing them to memory. A rhythm began. She shared fragments of her world, songs once sung by her tribe, words with no human equivalent. He showed her how to knead dough, split wood, coax fire from damp tinder. Slowly, her claws grew steadier, her cheeks less hollow. One night, Daniel asked quietly, "You said you were a widow." Her throat tightened. "My mate died in battle. He sang our hearth song to his last breath. I have not sung since." Daniel was silent a long moment. Then, "Maybe you don't need to sing alone." She looked at him sharply. His gaze held no pity, only invitation. That night, for the first time in years, she sang. Her voice cracked at first, thin and halting, then rose, carrying echoes of her people into the warm wooden house. Daniel listened without interrupting, scarred hands folded on the table. When she finished, he said only, "Beautiful. Storm and trust." The blizzards worsened, burying the forests under ice. Daniel opened his home fully, no longer pretending she was a thief. Richelte slept near the hearth, curled in borrowed blankets. One night, as the storm battered the walls, she whispered, "Why do you trust me? I could kill you in your sleep." Daniel chuckled softly. "If you were going to, you'd have done it the first night. You were hungrier than dangerous." She tilted her head, studying him. Humans were strange, fearless in ways that were not bravado, but choice. And in that moment, she realized what her people had always feared about humans was not their weapons, not their machines. It was this, their relentless, dangerous kindness. The Song of Two Survivors. By spring, the snow melted, green shoots pushing through frost. Richelte had grown stronger, her body filled out again, her eyes no longer sunken. She worked alongside Daniel, chopping wood, carrying water, learning the rhythm of his steady life. One evening, as the sun bled gold across the sky, she stood at his door. "You saved me," she said. "You could have let me die. Instead, you fed me. Why?" Daniel looked at her, tired but warm. "Because someone once fed me when I was broken. Because war takes enough. It doesn't need to take more than it already has." Her chest tightened. She stepped closer, claws brushing the wooden frame. "Then let me stay. Not as a thief. Not as a guest. But as Richelte, who has found a new hearth." Daniel smiled faintly. "Then stay." That night, she began to sing again. Not the song of a widow, but the song of a survivor. And this time, she did not sing alone. HFY note. That night, in a quiet wooden house on a distant world, one starving widow discovered the most dangerous thing humans carried was not their weapons, not their fire, not their machines. It was their capacity to see an enemy as a person, and to feed them anyway,